Here in Key West, we were out before it was in. In this open and inclusive paradise, you can be yourself, make new friends, and savor our live and let live vibe. With LGBTQ plus friendly accommodations, our legendary nightlife, and year-round activities and events, it's always a good time to come as you are. Key West, close to perfect, far from normal.
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. Another checkered flag for the books. Time to celebrate with Chumba. Jump in at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
Season 7 of Son Coaches Podcast is proudly brought to you by Titan Sensor. Season 7. That was my number in high school, so maybe this will be lucky for us. We'll see. You know, I've learned over time that when somebody's talking about something you really don't want to talk about, you just can always throw in there, hey, I knew this guy once, and then just pretty much make up whatever you want to, and they won't listen to it. They'll get off track, and you don't have to talk about the uncomfortable thing anymore. Coach, like we do every week, tell everybody where you grew up and where you're from. Son Coaches Podcast, where not everybody has a funny story, but everybody has a story. Hope you enjoy Season 7 of Son Coaches Podcast. Son Coaches is proud to partner with Titan Sensor for Season 6 and 7. Titan is made in the USA, proudly founded and based in Texas. When you connect with Titan, you are not alone. You can collaborate and share templates with other coaches across the country to build reports and foster competition. Used by programs such as State 6A Georgia State champion Grayson High School, Titan can tailor a package to fit your needs. The eye in the sky never lies. Improve your team's performance with Titan. Welcome to Son Coaches Podcast, Season 7, and today I'm joined by Coach Ed Gafka, the Executive Director of the Georgia Fire Football Coaches Association. Again, it's your boy MOCS, and we're going to be discussing the Georgia Scoreboard radio show and the GHSA playoffs. We're going to be discussing the job openings as they stand right now. And as always, I'd like to remind everybody that we're brought to you by Jimmy Joe's Quick Sack. We can come on down and get you chicken quarters for 39 cents a pound. I got goat groins and turkey backs that you can eat on your way to the game, boiled peanuts, hog jaws, and all to you who you can drink. If you like orange Powerade and blue Takis, we got them too. So come on down to Jimmy Joe's on your way to the games this week. Well, Coach, it's good to have you with us again this week.
Happy to be here and happy to be about getting down to some business today.
Well, I was listening on Friday on the way home, and I remember years ago when the Georgia Football Scoreboard show first started, and Coach Palmer, who's passed away now, I worked with his son Jay when I was at Early County. Great people, great family, great man. Did a lot for high school football, and these guys are too. But it's become Metro-centric, and they don't give you the scores. Like Coach Palmer used to just come on, and he would start Region 1 Single A, and he would just rattle them out. And now it's become a show, and they have people call in, and it's just it's still good, but it's just different. There's a lot of talking and a lot of people who aren't as informed as they should be about everywhere in the state of Georgia, and that's been disheartening this year. But I still enjoy listening to it. But it's just like everything else in the state. Metro is eventually going to drive all the decisions that are made, and I guess that's just the nature of the beast. But I thought it was interesting that they had the athletic director from Gainesville on there, and they they oohed and awed about, they wanted Coach Lindsey to explain his great plan of competitive balance. What's Coach Ed think about competitive balance?
Well, I appreciate Coach Lindsey going on there, and I don't know if I didn't see the video, but I assume he was wearing that Gainesville Letterman jacket, which looked really, really sporty. But, competitive balance, there's not a blanket policy that we could do that, in my opinion, is going to sit there and somehow fix everything. Your bottom feeders are always going to be your bottom feeders for the most part. Your middle tier is going to be the middle, and the top's going to be a top. In my opinion, the best way to do a competitive balance is, well, right back to what you stated last week, which was kind of that Form B, cap and putting people in different brackets or if you have a bunch of Form Bs, you're going to go play everybody that also has those Form Bs. If you have this many or that many, doesn't matter how many kids you have in the school, how many kids you have in those Form Bs, and put them all together. The Form Bs can play themselves, and everybody else can kind of sit here and we can divvy up the regions how we need to. Private schools can play, in their own little areas, but yeah, competitive balance. You can act as if you're in the best interest of those, little teams, and you're looking out for the little guy. Nobody gives a shit about the little guy. Come on, you're just posturing at this point. It's insulting to the little guy. So, in my opinion, again, let's take what everybody has an issue with, which is the Form Bs, and handle it. Everybody go and play the Form B championship. We'll do the Georgia high school football championships with, homegrown kids. It's not going to be the most exciting. It might not be as fast, but boy, it's going to be fundamentally sound.
What do you think?
Yeah, it's going to be fundamentally sound at times. Well, the thing that I found, interesting as a math guy is, I was told in a statistics class in college one time that liars figure and figures lie, and you can make numbers say whatever you want to, and you can slant them to your, whatever it is you're pushing and your opinion and everything like that. But the thing that really tickled me was, well, we're always going to get outvoted on this because the lower classifications, they're happy with what they have now, and they just have more people, and they're going to be able to outvote the competitive balance. Well, duh, because competitive balance doesn't really what's it do again for the little guy, for the smaller school. And I understand it. I understand the studies. I understand what's gone into it. I just don't think that's the answer. And as you said, I don't think there is any one answer, but, people think I say it tongue in cheek when I talk about the Form B being the way to do it. But if you truly want something competitively balanced, is per the definition of those two words, that's, in my mind, that's the only way you can do it. It doesn't restrict anybody from moving. You can go wherever you want to. You can recruit. You can do whatever you need to do to build a roster. But you're going to be playing against other people that are doing the exact same thing you are. So that's pretty much my take on it. I just thought it was interesting that for 20 minutes I had to listen to that instead of get scores from around the state, which was the whole point of that show when it first started.
Well, Coach, you know as well as I do that that's not really a scoreboard show for South Georgia. So, if you're looking for that, I think somebody there's I think a Chick-fil-A scoreboard, South Georgia Chick-fil-A scoreboard of
how to have fun anytime, anywhere. Step 1, go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2, collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3, play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4, unleash your excitement.
Woohoo!
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Some kind that they rotate those scores better than anybody. But, yeah, I mean, I think if you wanted to figure out who won in Gwinnett and Fulton County, that's where you need to, you tune into that. Now, they'll give you those scores pretty quick. But if you're outside 285, good luck.
Well, we talked earlier off air about the PSR came out today at 5 o'clock. They gave us our brackets, and we've got some pretty good matchups in the first round across the classifications that are using the power rankings. But we also have some, as you said last week, which should be an easy fix. We've got Dublin playing Washington County in round 1, and they're in the same region. They just played a few weeks ago, and I believe you told me another bunch that's playing. Was it Elbert County and Oglethorpe?
Yep. Elbert and Oglethorpe, which, you know, hats off to Coach Holland over there at Oglethorpe. They have done such an incredible job, you know, this year to get to the playoffs, and their reward is to play a team that they have already played. You know, that is just such an easy fix. It's so easy to go in there and say, hey guys, maybe we should just move this team up to this rung and this team down. You know, they're like 15 and 18 as well, so it's not that big of a jump. Just move them around. Give people a playoff experience. Go in and play in the same team that you've already played. And I don't know if they're going back to the Granite Bowl or if they host them this year, but I mean, it's just absolutely asinine. And, you know, people have an issue with the GHSA and poke fun at the GHSA. You know, we're a guilty party of it. Now, you know, 100% hand up. But they could do themselves a favor, and this is an easy fix that could have been adjusted. And, you know, this is why people make fun of you. This is why people have an issue with you, because this doesn't really make sense. And it was such an easy fix, but, you know, whatever the PSR rankings say, I mean, you said you were going to release them at 4 o'clock. My God, it took another 30 minutes. So don't even put a time out there. Just say they'll be released in the afternoon. I don't know how hard it is. If they need a PR guy, call me. I'll be more than happy to help.
Well, I talked to Coach Holmes before the game Friday, and we talked about lots of things. But when we started talking about the playoffs, he brought up a very good point. When you got 32 teams in and they talk about 7 teams from that region going to make it, Dublin had played Jeff Davis as their scrimmage game. So that's 8 teams that you've played that are going to be in the tournament. So there's a quarter of the field in the tournament that you've already played. Therefore, the odds of you playing them again and playing them early on is pretty high. And sure enough, he got that draw. And the other thing he pointed out was that when you have that many come out of a region, and a region as big as this one is, the best you're going to do in region is 50-50, because half are going to win and half are going to lose. So everything revolves around, on the PSR, your one non-region game you get to schedule, and you've already got smoke in that region. Who are you going to pick up? I mean, he didn't say that. I'm saying that because he doesn't care, because they're going to be good and it doesn't matter. But, you know, when you're one of the little guys, you try to schedule somebody that you're at least going to be competitive with or have a chance to beat, because the region's so rough, and I just don't like the 2 seed getting all of the 2 seeds, because all regions are not created equal, and there's going to be 4 2 seeds out there that are probably going to get boat raced. And, it's just not, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but I know next year they're doing away with doing the 2 seeds being seeded after the 1s. But I'm with you. I think there's a better way to just mix the numbers up and be like, hey man, we understand that you're 18 and they're 17, or, you're 16 and they're 19, but they just played this team in their region. We're going to flip y'all around. And most people, I don't think, would have an issue with that.
Couldn't agree more. Again, take a look at Columbia, and I think it's AA. They play East Jackson, and Columbia is 4-6. 4-6. East Jackson is a 26 seat. But take a look at Columbia's non-region. I think they played Collie. I want to say they might have played Kell, and they played Carrollton. They're a AA football team going and playing a gauntlet of a non-region schedule. It obviously helped them in the region because they went undefeated 4-0 in the region and were the region champs. And, now they're, they've got East Jackson coming to them. But, again, it's not that they were penalized for doing it. It's just how many other AA teams would go through that schedule, and especially non-region wise, and live to tell about it. So, I think that there's a reward for Columbia like that, but also, there's got to be some sort of balance there that takes a little bit of common sense into everything, and hopefully moving forward, they actually plug in their brain for when it matters to the kids and these coaches that are going to ultimately be judged on, how they finish the year. And, God forbid a team that's, an 8 seed gets beat in the, playoffs here. And, you got parents that want their job, and it's just like, well, it's not apples and oranges. So that's the real frustrating part.
It is something that I'm sure will be revisited. And also on that show, Coach Lindsay pointed out that the GHSA is like a homeowners association where, because they always say the GHSA and its member schools are committed to good sportsmanship, blah, 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 blah. It's member schools. And the members are the ones who drive the 6-person operation this running up there in Forsyth, and we all understand that, but there's no way that things are getting done that the majority of people are asking for, because there's too many of the majority that are complaining about it.
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. Another checkered flag for the books. Time to celebrate with Chumba. Jump in at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
It's I just don't understand. I went to the reclass meeting in 2002 when we went to 5 classifications, and actually went to the executive meeting and saw how that worked. And they don't pay attention. They sit in there, the executive council sits in their groups with their buddies. They sit there and they do whatever. They actually passed a rule that said you could be 10 years old or younger and be a ball boy or ball girl in any of the sports, football, baseball, softball, that require ball boys and bat girls and stuff like that. Games 1 through 10. But once you got to the playoffs, you had to at least be 12. And they passed it. They didn't even, okay, sounds good. We just saw Barry Bonds' kid almost get run over at home plate. We'll pass that. That sounds great. Let's go with it. And then Coach Campbell at Lincoln County, Larry Campbell, raised his hand and said, wait a minute, are you telling me that my grandson can be on the sideline with us them first 10 games, but them next 5 he's got to go sit up in the stands with his grandmother? No, that ain't happening. We're revoting, do it again. They didn't follow parliamentary procedure. They didn't know. They did it, and they thought about it, and they moved the age like whatever. Which, I mean, he was right. It made more sense what they said. But he's like, it's got to be one way or the other. Either they can be this age. But anyway, that's just a small example of the things they sit around and they vote on. And we had to listen to somebody from Lovett get up and talk about their 57th swimming championship. And it's like, you know what? Sit down and color, dude. Most places in South Georgia don't have a pool. They swim in a creek, in a pond, and that's it. You know, they got cement ponds. It's fancy, and we ain't got stuff like that around here. And you over here talking about your diving team and your gymnastics team. Ain't nobody worried about that. You need your own universe. Don't be bothering us with that when we talking about reclassification. So, you know, yeah, it's member driven, but is it really?
Well, here's the thing. Who gives a shit about the age of ball girls and ball boys and water girls? Like, I would much rather them spend that time saying, you know, there is not a single worth it piece of equipment that I've ran into as a end zone camera for 10 games. So maybe as a GHSA, we start permitting the use of drones because everybody has it to just replace the big ass bulky structure that ultimately not only is a hazard, but the damn thing doesn't work half the time. You know, I'm sure there's places that have it working just so clean, and I'm a jealous SOB. But you know, me personally, I haven't gotten that shit to work for 10 straight games in my career. So to me, but hell, I can get the drone to work, and I can teach a dang 4-year-old how to run a dang drone. And again, it is not going to hover over the game field. It's going to hover right where that big structure that, God forbid, a kid runs into it, breaks his leg. You know, again, we're all about safety of kids, but, you know, also drones are cheaper than those damn contraptions anyway. So I just don't understand why we haven't, you know, had a little forward thinking. But yes, let's make sure we take up time about the age of ball girls, ball boys, water girls, whatever, because that right there is what the people of these member schools pay for. That, and, you know, let's make sure we enforce the knee pad rules on all the 3 and 7 football teams and not the ones playing into November.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's been interesting. It's been an interesting 30-year ride for me, and watching it. And if your organization would have existed years ago, I would have been a charter member. But as a fired football coach, and one who's going to be fired probably after next week when we go up to the mountains and take on Coach Gillespie's Raven County Tigers, I might be relieved before we get to halftime up there. But it's going to be a pretty venue, and I couldn't think of a better place to be fired from than while in the press box up at Raven County. That's going to be nice. And with that being said, the next segment of the program, we're going to get into job openings, and at the time of the airing of this podcast, Black Monday will have passed. There will be more jobs open, but as of right now, we've got 5 that we're going to give our unique take on. And this segment is brought to you by Bubba and Earl's Moving Company. Always remember, you are 2 men in a truck away from a better situation. When your administration decides to go in a hot, different direction, call Bubba and Earl. They'll be glad to load you up, get all your trophies and whatnots together in your office, and get you to the next place that you're going to be fired from. Don't forget, Bubba and Earl's Moving Company. So, job openings, what you got?
Well, I want you to help some of these folks who weren't around for the Georgia Varsity Sports event back in the day. And could you explain what Save Your Stamp is and kind of what those jobs are, and really if any of these jobs that are currently open would kind of be one of those Save Your Stamp kind of jobs?
Okay, well, first of all, I'd like to say that when I first started on the vent, Man of Constant Sorrow started, I was just interested in coaching trees and how certain people got head coaching jobs. And as a young coach, I wanted to be a head coach. So I wanted to know what I needed to do, who I needed to know, whatever, to get one of those jobs. And as I've investigated it back then, Et tu, Brute was doing the job postings, and it was always an agreement that we would not put people's names out there, and we wouldn't say anything because we're all in the same fraternity. We're not trying to screw each other over. And then we started doing initials, and if people would ask, well, whose initials are those? If you have to ask, you don't need to know. And then I started to save your stamp stuff, because some of these jobs that come open, they'll call you. For example, let's say Buford, Carrollton, Rome, Gainesville, Cartersville, Calhoun, Valdosta, Lowndes, Lee County. Save your stamp. If one of those jobs come open, like SpongeBob told Patrick, you need to think a little bit smaller. As a matter of fact, think about the smallest thing you can think of, because you can save your stamp. Used to, we had this thing called the mail, and you would send letters to people, and you'd actually send applications in and letters of interest, and you didn't have the intranet, and you had to put a stamp on those things for the mail carrier. It was a tax for them to operate. And I'm just telling people to save your stamp. There's no sense in you applying if you've been the offensive coordinator at Ookie Bookie High School and y'all had the best year you've ever had as a coordinator and averaged 25 points a game. Save your stamp, dude. They're not interested. And what's crazy is there'll be 300 people apply for these jobs. They'll still do it. And there'll be rec ball coaches. There'll be guys that just work at your local wherever, that aren't even in education, but by God, they watch football and they know good football when they see it. Now, they couldn't teach a trap block or a down block, or they wouldn't know what to do with an underfront, or if somebody moves, they don't double to the -1. They don't know none of that, but they know good football. So, and some of these young coaches are the same way, and I'm just trying to save some time, man. You're not getting those jobs. And it's like the jobs that are open right now. If a job is open right now, it ain't good. Maybe these are the ones you need to apply for. You can save your stamp on some of these other ones that are going to come in, because either they're already decided or you ain't him. They'll call you. You ain't got to call them and tell them you're interested in the job. Hell, everybody's interested in the Carrolltons, the Bufords, the Gainesvilles, the Romes, the Valdostas. Yes, everybody would love to have one of those jobs, but they'll call you if they're interested. And that's what Save Your Stamp is. And, they can believe it, they can like it, they can not like it. I don't care. It's just the fact of the matter. I've been doing this a long time, and I get called every year by schools gauging my interest. And I was 1-9 as a head football. I was terrible. And I was 32 years old. I didn't have no business being a head coach. Would I be better at it now? Probably, because I'd hire people to actually do the football part, and I'd just be like a CEO head coach. But I'm not interested in that. If I can't get some of these jobs, who in the hell do you think you are that you're going to get it? Oh, well, I've been at winning programs, and I've been a dude. That none of that matters. If you have to call them, that it probably is not the best job in the world. There are tiers of jobs and tiers of levels of what we qualify for and what we don't qualify for. I qualify for probably midget to pre-midget 6 and under flag football head coach. That's probably what I'm good enough to do. I dang sure am not going to send my stuff in if a big dog job comes open. And there's a lot of high-level coordinators that even they know. They didn't call me. There's no sense in me fooling with it. And that's just from the people within the state. You're also competing against out-of-state applicants who can come in with gaudy records. They've won in these other states. And people go, oh, he's won 37 state championships in Michigan. Let's hire him in Tifton. Really? I mean, it's just not going to be a good fit. And it's nothing against the guy from Michigan. It's just that deep South Georgia and Michigan don't go together. So, I mean, there's just certain situations that, I just try to be helpful, and whether I am or not is debatable.
No, I think that's perfect because, to be honest with you, I always look at it and, if you have to put your JV head coaching record or your offensive coordinator points per game as a JV coach or a middle school football coach, even the jobs that are open right now, you ain't getting. So, you better find a way to build your resume, work, do all the things that it takes to build a resume and generate relationships, because if there's one thing that is transcendent upon every industry, whether it's in education or, the private sector, public sector, it's 100% relationships. And it's not what you know, it's who you know. And just because you think you know football, that does not make you hireable. And unless you know somebody who knows the superintendent or the athletic director, or better yet, both, that can speak on your behalf and get you in that damn room, shit, you better be able to build a resume, because middle school offense coordinator, middle school head coach, and you won, 3 middle school championships in a row because you had a kid that hit puberty before everybody else and ran toss sweep every play. That doesn't move the needle for anybody, and especially not anybody that's open right now.
Or you could know the governor, because apparently that's what you got to do to get the LSU job.
Yeah, again, probably the governor as a letter of recommendation or call on your behalf. That definitely wouldn't hurt, or you rush Probst, you just win damn football games, and, I'll be damned of all the, baggage that comes with it, but shit, we're going to win football games.
Well, it's getting to the point now where if you know Coach Ed at the Georgia Fired Football Coaches Association, he might be able to help you out. What do you think about this first one on the docket is the Bainbridge job? What do you think about the Bainbridge job there, Coach Ed?
Well, it's the hottest damn place in the state of Georgia. You got to be a special human being to go down there and brave the summers in August and September and shit. They're still in shorts down there right now, if I had to guess. You got bugs, you got all this stuff. You're in you're in a region where you should potentially compete, though, for the 3-4 seed. Peach County and the Cairo, syrup makers down there, they are the 1 and 2, but everybody else is, you should be able to compete. I do not know what their school day is like or anything like that, but, I got to thinking, I wonder if they could pull on the heartstrings a little bit of one of their more notable alumni, Coach Kirby Smart, and see if he can give up that NIL game and come and return home, build a dynasty down there at Bainbridge, and, right off into the sunset with some, PSC retirement, and really just enjoy that 8-3 and get out of the grind that is college football.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. And, Bainbridge is here's the thing. Get out a map, find Bainbridge, and look at all the schools around it that are successful. And outside of Coach Littleton winning the state championship there and doing amazing things there that had never been done, and they didn't want to take care of him afterwards, so he went to Tifton. And but look around. You got Colquitt County, Brooks County, Thomasville, Thomas County Central, Cairo's in your region, and they're right there. I mean, they're all shopping at the same Walmart and eating at the same restaurants. But for some reason, your place ain't got no players. That ought to tell you everything you need to know. And I know for a fact that it's been offered to at least 3 people that have said not no, but hell no. They're not interested. And they had a good man down there in Coach Wall, one of the best human beings.
Hey, it's Bubba Wallace from 2311 Racing. You know what feels like forever? Sitting on a plane waiting for takeoff. Good thing I've got Chumba Casino. With daily boost and social casino games on tap, this is the kind of fun that makes time fly. Why not turbocharge your downtime? Play now at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
And a fine football coach there is exactly probably what they needed, and ran him off before the season even ended. And that's the problem I have is, the season hasn't even ended yet, and if you haven't broken any PSC, you don't have any PSC violations, and you haven't done anything illegal or immoral, there's no reason to get rid of a high school football coach in the middle of the season, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely not. Historically, Bainbridge is 551 and 517 and have 42 ties. So really they're about 5-5 average. So anybody who has expectations that they should be competing for state championships, anything that's above 5-5 season, you should be, starting to build that statue for them. Because again, historically speaking, that is not a place where you are competing for state championships every year or competing for region championships every year. And, they're 2-18 in the last 2 years. I mean, again, you've got to find a way to get kids in the building and God bless you finding real estate down there. All I know is it better have good AC because, that's too hot for my ass.
Well, another one that popped early that I don't even know if they're actually going to open it up or if they're going to stay on staff, but it's been a hot mess historically. Nobody has won there since the 90s consistently, and that's Wayne County. Coach Ed, what do you think about the bunch down there in Jessup, Georgia?
Well, so Wayne County had Jabo Shaw come down from the heavens of Raven County, and, he got into a quarterfinal, and I think either the first, second round in his 2 seasons there. And that's really kind of their ceiling, right? They're 6-4. They're 6-4 kind of all time, in terms of what their average is. And, at the end of the day, to me, it's just a tough place to probably build. It's a tough place to get kids, in the building. It's a tough place. Right now, that region's hell. That's Ware County, Warner Robins, Benedictine, Perry. I mean, and you're going to compete with them. Jason Strickland, Ware County, I think he's either the 3 or 4 seed this year, and that's a damn good football team. So, Wayne County, to me, shouldn't be 2-18 in the last 2 seasons. But at the end of the day, they are in a nasty little 4A region right there. Jessup is a tough place to live, but they do have former NCAA record holder Grayson Lambert, the last quarterback to play for Coach Mark Richt at Georgia. So maybe they tap into his Virginia education that he got before he transferred, and maybe he can come and help coach him up.
Yeah, again, I don't think that's going to happen either. Jessup is in a very dysfunctional part of the state where you've got Pierce County, Appleton County, and Wayne County are all right there together. And, when you look at, to me, and this is just me, but it's the same thing with Bainbridge. When you start holding these coaches to this level of expectation, it's like Coach Saban said the other day about LSU, are you putting in the same resources and amount of want to with your athletic programs as the people around you, as the people in the rest of the state? We don't even got to go to the rest of the state, just the rest of your region. No, you're not. So what do you think you're going to get? And Coach Shaw left there for a reason, and it wasn't because, he necessarily wanted to go to a state where birds fly upside down to coach. Thank God he's back over on this side of the river now. But it's. I'll put it to you this way: I'm 1-9 as a head coach. My one win, Wayne County. How bad is that? That ought to tell you everything you need to know right there. But that's not to say that the right person couldn't get in there and deal with it. But they need to understand that as you said, the ceiling's probably 6-4. And that brings us to the next one that's up there close to your neck of the woods. We'll bounce around and we'll go to Johns Creek. And before you give your take on it, I'm just going to say this. I've had to go through there several times because that's where Emory Spine and Orthopedic is, where I've had my back surgeries, and I've driven through there. I can tell you this, you ain't going to live there. You're going to drive in from somewhere else because you ain't living nowhere near that school on no coach's salary. That's just not going to happen. Now, if you want to win a math bowl, if you want to win smartest kids in the world bowl, that's fine. And I'm sure you're going to speak to the hot talent pipeline they got coming and how that works out in North Metro. But would love to hear your take on the Johns Creek opening.
Well, to be honest with you, yeah, like you said, Johns Creek is a phenomenal place to live for doctors and lawyers and engineers and members of the tech industry, but you can't afford it as a football coach or, everyday teacher. And to be honest with you, Johns Creek is 0-20 in the last 2 seasons. In that 17-year history, though, they are average about 4-6, and they've had a couple blips to get to the playoffs a couple different times. But what I have found through just talking to different people associated with that program, they feel really good about some 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade kids. And the issue is you're going to have those kids who have just experienced a season in which you scored 3 points this season and gave up 531 points. Okay. That right there is a lot to stomach. And if you have any kid that's any good on that JV, if you have any kid that's any good on the freshman team or whatever, I'm telling you right now, they're gone. Because I don't know how it works necessarily down in South Georgia as much, because I know the schools are a little bit farther apart, but in Gwinnett, Fulton, and all these places up here, they could turn around, throw a rock, and hit Roswell, Alpharetta, Milton. They can drive 25 minutes to Buford. They just have way too many options. And at the end of the day, it's naive to think that those same kids are going to be there as seniors. And now, what I will say and give credit to is everything I've heard about the administration, everything I've heard about the athletic director, is they want a guy that's going to be there and build it and give him everything he needs to build it. But saying that's one thing, and actually seeing that through and giving somebody more than 3 to 5 years is coming a thing of the past. So in my opinion, this is a great job for somebody who is maybe looking for that first head coaching job. Is super motivated, is realistic though, and not selling them a pipe dream in an interview where, hey guys, I think we can compete, for state titles and region titles. Not if you're in the same damn region with Milton, Gainesville, Roswell, and the region you're in now. You're playing for fourth damn place every year. Every year. And Lanier's a damn good football team. Second year, Coach Lottie's a good football team. I mean, Chattahoochee, they've got athletes more than you. And so, again, don't sell somebody, be transparent, honest with them about the expectations, set the expectations, and, as long as everybody stays on board and does what they're supposed to do and plays their part in it, then I think you have a chance of building something pretty successful and you making a nice little career out of it. You're never going to live in Johns Creek. You're never going to be in that tax bracket. But understand that you also aren't going to win state championships. You're also going to fight to keep your kids. So it's definitely one that good news is expectations are pretty low. You score one touchdown in your first year, build a statue.
Well, the other thing you got to understand, too, is you're going to be in the bottom 1% of the most intelligent people on campus.
Oh, yeah. No, like that's the thing is honestly, they've got a very intelligent, they got intelligent kids, they got intelligent parents, they got intelligent, teachers, everything. So you better understand, how to present yourself professionally, not talk like you are chewing on, Copenhagen long cut all day, and understand how to dress well and test well. All right, because that's what they're going to need to see from you. You got to play the damn part. You come walking in or walking out on the damn sidelines and your coaches have, leggings and backpacks on, hooping and hollering, they ain't going to like it. They ain't going to like it. So play the part, be professional, and you might have a chance to build something nice there.
Well, and what you touched on right there is another save your stamp situation. Like somebody like me, I'm not applying there, even if I was younger, because I know what I sound like, and I know how I am, and I know that I'm not a fit there. I mean, that's just not a place for me, but that doesn't mean that it's not for somebody. And it's a different place. It's a unique situation, and understand what you're getting into, but you hit the nail on the head on that one. So we'll go back down south. We'll save my other one that we'll get into other things about, but we'll go down to Savannah, Chatham County for the Windsor Forest Canidgets. And this job opening, and God bless you, whoever has been, will be, and continue to lead these young people in their football program.
Well, and that's the thing is that, Windsor Forest historically 4-6, right? You see kind of a pattern here. And the past two seasons, they're 7-13. So it's not like they're that far off of their median, but, I don't know what the expectations are there. I don't know if they're realistic. I don't know if they've got, the right kind of mindset, and I don't know what the parents are like, but I'm sure the parents are very similar like they are everywhere else, which is unrealistic and a pain in your ass. But the reality is, it's a job that, again, appears to me, just from the outside looking in, like you could be competitive. Now, are you going to be able to keep kids? Are you going to be able to build? Are you going to get every kid in the weight room in the same period? Are you going to be able to get them to understand that, hey, I know we got a teacher work day today, but it would really benefit us to get our kids out there earlier because, we don't have buses and their parents work or whatever it is. How is the administration going to help a coach, right? Not at the negative, and honestly, I don't want to get on diatribe here about admin and folks making it hard on coaches, but at the end of the day, we break our backs. It appears to me, the admin, they are so afraid of the 8-3 science teacher getting their feelings hurt because the football coach isn't at this professional development, roundtable discussion about, classroom management. Okay. Well, here's the thing. Let's start clocking in then, and we can see who is putting in more time at this school building and who's still getting all their lesson plans done and doing all the other bullshit that science teacher does. But again, how willing are the admin, athletic director, are they going to stand beside you and be able to say, hey guys, they bust their ass. We're going to make it to where, they have everything they need to be successful. And when you aren't successful and if you fail, again, there's nothing that admin can go home and not rest easy knowing that he didn't give you. He didn't give, if he or she is sitting there, going, well, I couldn't give them all the kids in the same weight room. I couldn't give them, this extra planning or whatever it may be. Well, now you're just constantly being that roadblock instead of being somebody that says, hey, how can I find a way to say yes to you? Is there a way I can say yes? I'm going to try to find it. But that's the problem. My hope is that Windsor Forest has the right kind of leadership there. They are a place that, I've said it before, that's not a place that Rush Probst will go into because you're going to look around and be like, nah, we can't make it happen here. There's not enough kids walking this hallway that'll compete on Fridays, and around me, there's not enough athletes. So he ain't taking that job. You could go ahead and take that job, but be very, very clear about the expectations and what their expectations are for you. If they want you to be in there and be at every professional development and do everything in the summer and all that good stuff, hey, might not be for you, but don't set yourself up for a
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. Victory Lane? Yeah, it's even better with Chumba by my side. Race to ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
Shitty job that's going to fail just to go and have that title of head football coach. Because it ain't going to matter if you go 0-20.
Well, I know you didn't want to go on a diatribe about poor administration, but our final contestant on the What's Open Right Now train is the Salem job up there in the Covington, Conyers area, the southeast side of Atlanta. And I'll just let you talk on that because I'm emotionally tied to this one, and I don't know that even the man of constant sorrow wouldn't be able to dig himself out of the hole that he would create describing this hot mess up there in the metro.
Well, understand that Salem's not located, like it's in Rockdale County, but it's not a bad area of Rockdale County. It's not a bad area for the school. But they've had 4 head coaches in 5 years. So that tells me one of two things. One, admin is just absurd in what they are expecting of their football coach, throughout the year, and they are a constant block for them to build anything. They are just there as somebody that is there to tell them no, and they frustrate good people that are trying to do right by kids and build something with those kids and build relationships with kids. Because you got to think, if you've had 4 coaches in 5 years, how good are the relationships and the lessons those kids are learning in that building? I can't blame those coaches. I blame the adults that got those leadership certificates, okay? They went to a leadership school, got that little leadership certificate, so now they get to boss people around, and they spend all damn summer thinking about, professional development time and what is our why bullshit, okay? And now you're going to expect me to sit through that shit. And now if I don't do it because I've been, working with my football team from 7 to 2 o'clock every day in the damn summer, you are now going to try to tell me how I need to do my job and how I need to lead. and how I need to make sure that I hold people accountable. Don't worry about me holding kids accountable. That's my organization. You worry about your teachers in that building, and honestly, leave my ass alone. I will be a person for you to lean on and count on, but you've already crossed the line with me by thinking that I am not doing my entire job because I didn't go to the What Is Your Why seminar and watch the videos and be read off of a slideshow that we teach our kids in 9th grade not to do. So, Salem historically has always had athletes. They aren't a overly successful program. They've only gone past the first round 2 times in 2004 and 5. And at the end of the day, their average is 4 and 6. But they are in a competitive region that they can compete with. But because of the limitations and because of the headache of trying to keep your own kids there and the recruiting that goes on, in that area from Rockdale County, Heritage, you name it, around there, they see those kids on JV, they see those kids, in the different sports, and they go, hey, why don't you come over here? There's nobody at Salem that's like, no. There's no admin that's like, hell no, you ain't taking our damn kid. And that's the problem. Like, have the coaches back. And when a coach has a kid that is moving in, shit, fight for their ass, get the damn Form B, and let's go. But instead, you are going to say, nah, we can't make it work. No, we can't make it work. Well, I got this, talented football player that, can't sit in his damn seat for 8 hours or an hour and a half every single period. Okay, well, instead of writing his ass up and suspending him, how about you give me a call and let me come down there and handle it? Because that's what working with kids is about. It's about figuring out what they need to be, able to do to be successful. I'm the adult. Let me handle that. But instead, you think every kid is just, no, they're going to bend. They're going to, I'm going to break them so they, abide by my rules. Shit. Then you haven't been in a classroom in a while, and you should go back to that leadership school and maybe take that class again, because you ain't got a clue of walking around since.
And there you have it, kids and coaches. That's the jobs as they were open Sunday night before Black Monday, and MOCS and Coach Ed's take on the jobs that are open. We're just trying to provide a service here for all of you aspiring head coaches out there, not at all encouraging you not to go after your dreams and not to go take a job. But I know this, when I see you at the clinic and you looking around crazy because you've been there for about a month and things ain't quite what you were told they were going to be, or next year you're texting me and emailing me and DMing me and wanting me to find you another job, don't do that, because it ain't going to happen, because we tried to tell you. So understand what you're getting into. If it's open before Christmas, it's generally not a good situation. And unfortunately, some of these guys now have become members of the Georgia Fired Football Coaches Association. And welcome aboard. We're glad to have you. And speaking of DMs and texting people, I understand, Coach Ed, that you have a PSA you'd like to share.
I do. And before I say that, I do want to mention that there's some people up here, in Northeast Georgia that are at tough jobs that have done a hell of a damn job this year that, it might be their 3rd, 4th, 5th year. And to be honest, like Chad Bennett up there at White County, watch that team in game 1 and then watch them this past week. That is a well-coached football team, and I'm here to just stomp on that. Chad Bennett doesn't know me from Adam, but just from a football observer, I got to be honest. if they have any desire to try to go in a different direction, they need to they need to curb that real quick, because that's a damn good football coach who goes right by kids and coaches them hard, and those kids are prepared, and he puts them in a position to be successful. And what more can you ask? He's great for the community, and again, you don't have to worry about him doing anything that would reflect poorly on the folks in White County. So I want to make sure that, and he's not the only one at jobs like that, but that was definitely something I wanted to make sure I mentioned, because again, that's a hard job. It's you don't get move-ins to Cleveland, Georgia. And, his first year there, he had to move out. He had a kid that, went up and left to Gainesville and went to Gaines, Vegas, and played for a state championship. So it's a tough place, but no, in terms of the PSA here, I got reached out to by a couple different people over the last couple of weeks, and they were showing me different instances where we had some coaches of, some notable programs that had been DMing or tagging, kids, 14, 18-year-old kids, 14 to 18, high school age kids, even then in some cases, 8th grade kids, trying to get them to transfer. And some of them are coaches, and some of them are parents, and some of them are just, again, they're adults. And I got to be honest with you. The only reason the only reason you would have to be DMing a 14 to 18-year-old, you're either a pedophile or you're cheating. So, which is it? I don't think that some of these coaches are pedophiles, so it's got to be the other one. Now, both of them are wrong, and both of them need to be addressed. But if you ever find yourself DMing a 14 to 18-year-old, or God forbid a damn 8th grader, trying to get him in before, the GHSA gets involved, I mean, look in the damn mirror and understand that, what has my life come to where I'm trying to get an 8th grader. I'm trying to convince an 8th grader to transfer my school to better my football team. You should be ashamed of yourself, and you really should, honestly, you should be in a different profession, because like I said, you're either pedophile or you're cheating. And I hope to God you're not a pedophile. So that's all. I just wanted to make sure I hit on that. These are kids, and at the end of the day, if a kid is taken from one of these programs where he'd be a superstar and comes to your place and is a backup or a role player, that program he left is going to suffer, and that coach is going to end up being fired. And as much as I love people joining the JFFCA, I don't advocate for people to get fired. I don't want people to get fired, but I do want people to be professional, act right, and stop DMing kids. It's just wrong.
Well, that pretty much sums that up, and I couldn't agree with you more. It is travesty. And like you said, either way, it ain't good, whatever it is. But share with everyone right now. You got a store right now. The Georgia Fired Football Coaches Association has got a store where you can get some gear. I know Coach Holland wants one of those Rasta Lions. That was fantastic, and his response to that was great. He's a great dude. He's done a good job up there, but that's just one of the things you got. Share with everybody the link and where they could go to get a sticker, a shirt, and what are the things you got on them?
Yeah, no, we've had just a lot of surprising, support and people DMing different ideas and stuff. And, luckily I have the, remedial abilities to kind of put some stuff to paper and then put it on there. But, we have different number of shirts, whether it's Block Somebody, like, that's just a really, really solid representation of our, of the, ball knowers in the stands on Fridays. My personal favorites, just go for it, because honestly, it's high school football. Why are we punting anyway? Just go. And, also I've been in a situation where offense ain't rolling. So, why don't we just go ahead and punt it? Just punt it. So we've got a bunch of different odds and ends, thrown in there. If you have any, ideas or any concepts or just anything you'd like to see, hell, shoot me a DM. Be happy to look at it, try to make it work. And if you like it, great. It's something that we're experimenting with and lucky enough to provide an option for you guys. And, the other piece is you can find the link in the bio on X. It's honestly, I couldn't even tell you what the whole thing is, because that's a work in progress. But ultimately, you can find the link there. And honestly, if one of your design ideas or whatever get pushed out, I'm more than happy. Get 3 of your buddies to purchase it, and I'll find a way to send you one for free. Also, shout out to Coach Ben Reeves at Milton for sending a swag package of Milton gear. We talk about somebody that's been just massive supporter in terms of his engagement with the profile and embodies the relaxed satire from where he sits. And Coach Holland there at Franklin County, again, I will say that is probably my favorite logo design to this day, because it embodies that. He is a damn good football coach. You can recognize him from anywhere. And if I'm Franklin County, I seriously consider putting that thing in the middle of the 50-yard logo. But no, I'm excited to have these opportunities to push that stuff out. And any help or any ideas y'all have, send them my way. Happy to help any way I can.
And I appreciate you letting Sun Coaches get a couple of things on there too. If you want a hat that has the Sun Coaches podcast logo or mug, they're on there as well. We appreciate any support that you throw our way as well. I'm getting the certified Get Back coach at least. I'm making a Christmas list for my wife together, putting it together for her so she knows what kind of gear I'm going to need during this clinic season, because I will be representing them in Orlando, Atlanta, and the D.C. area as Glazier makes its run, and I'm running the hospitality suite. Couldn't ask for a better gig. Just like today in bringing this to you, I sure do appreciate Coach Ed being on with us. And as always, here at Sun Coaches Podcast, we hope you found it enjoyable and understand to just relax. It's satire for the most part. And we look forward to
Season 7 of Sun Coaches Podcast is proudly brought to you by Titan Sensor. Season 7.
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. Game night's fun until someone spends 5 minutes lining up one shot. Chalk, breathe, re-chalk, still aiming. While they figure it out, I fire up Chumba Casino. I can spin anywhere, anytime, and there's always a new social casino game every week. Spins happen way faster than that shot. Play now at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
When you manage procurement for multiple facilities, every order matters. But when it's for a hospital system, they matter even more. Grainger gets it and knows there's no time for managing multiple suppliers and no room for shipping delays. That's why Grainger offers millions of products in fast, dependable delivery, so you can keep your facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones to get it done.